Hello everybody, my name is Dratnos and welcome to Mythic Forgotten Experiments. This is a boss. We weren't actually able to quite kill this on PTR, but we were able to get pretty deep into the last phase. It's pretty cool actually on Mythic. So on Heroic, you just have these 3 experiments and you kill one, then you kill the next, then you kill the last. On Mythic, whenever one of them reaches 50% health, the next one will jump out of its chamber. So there are also some mechanics from each of them that will persist throughout the fight. For instance, there's that rending charge that leaves a bleed behind. If you play it well, it's only going to hit 3 people, but it does that kind of Sargenathrius massacre thing, massacre, ravage, whatever. The one where it like draws an arrow between 3 people. Well, I guess 4 on that fight, but 3 in this fight, and it hits anybody between them as well. So those bleeds you're going to keep for the rest of the fight. So you kind of want to kill the first guy as soon as possible. If you have an evoker, they can like do their bleed cheese thing and clear out a bunch of those stacks. They won't be permanent. If you have a lot of dwarves as well, that seems really good. So that'll make it a lot easier as well. I think they should just put a duration on it or make it not clearable by those things, because otherwise there's a pretty big incentive to, I guess it's just an early boss, so it probably doesn't matter too much anyways. But then other than that, one of the things you're looking at throughout this whole fight is the tank mechanic, which is all of the bosses apply a stacking debuff onto their tank with each auto attack. And it's the same debuff. It does a bunch of damage as soon as you start getting a lot of stacks. You see I made a weak aura in the middle of testing to just put the debuff and the number of stacks it has near the middle of my screen there, because it's something you have really got to look out for. As you start getting to high amounts of stacks, it gets quite lethal. But you can clear it by running on top of the other tank, like anybody else with the stacks, right? Which will be the other tank. But when you do that, it puts a 20-second dot on the whole raid. So you really don't want to refresh that, because if you get multiple stacks of that, it's bad. But later in the fight, you kind of do want to start... Whenever there are 2 of them out, you're going to want to clear roughly every 20 or 30 seconds to avoid there being too much damage onto your tanks. Although, playing a tank like a DK or whatever that can just leech through this and be totally fine is maybe something worth considering as well. So we killed off the first guy before getting the second guy to 50%. We tried a little bit, sometimes just focusing entirely on the second guy and ignoring the first guy, because the first guy's just putting out more of these bleeds, but the second guy is putting out more of these unstable essences. Unstable essence is this dot that stacks up, and then when it gets dispelled, it leaves behind a circle, and then the circle turns into these remnants, and the remnants have to be killed before they finish this burst, or else it does quite a bit of damage to the raid. It's okay if one of those casts gets off, but if a lot happen, then it's quite bad. So you can see 3-4 people on the raid frames now stacking up that debuff. And as soon as you kill this guy, he's going to stop putting new ones out. So the faster you can kill him, the better. So we want to keep damaging him rather than cleaving onto the new third and final boss here. And our goal was to move to Star, do a Mass Dispel there, and have all the remnants be there, and then just go over there and cleave them down. And that was how we wanted to handle this as these stacks started ramping up on players. And yeah, just kill him before he casts, the 5th, the 6th of those unstable essences. Here comes the 5th, I believe, or maybe the 6th actually for us, which is quite a lot. This third boss now is out and active as well, is casting this deep breath. You got to get out of the middle, and then it'll pick the sides. It'll basically go where there are players as well, so you usually do have to dodge once or twice that mechanic. But there we've finished off the second guy, and now there's the third one. Not too much happening here. The bleeds are still ticking. The debuffs are still ticking as well. So you can see we do this Mass Dispel on everybody in the middle, and we have all these remnants that we're going to try and kill. But those, the debuff has jumped now to a bunch of new players, and it's scary on all of them as well. And one of our warlocks didn't get hit by the Mass Dispel, because Mass Dispel only hits 5. So he's in some danger, although he's also playing a warlock, so he's not in that much danger. But there are also these temporal anomalies. You can see one is very near boss here, trying to hit the boss. So these things you can bounce by knocking into them. But on Mythic, unlike the lower difficulties, they apply a stacking damage taken from the bounce when you hit them. They're also behaving pretty weirdly. You can see one of them connected with the boss, so it got a 10% health shield, which is really bad, obviously. But they were behaving pretty weirdly, where you would like run into them, and it would kind of bounce in a weirder than expected direction. I'm not sure if you'll see super good footage of it here, but sometimes you'll see people run into it, and it's just like it bounces in a way that is they're like it's bouncing forward rather than the way that it was planned to be going, which is pretty obnoxious. But here we just wiped because all the remnants were free casting on us and we weren't able to kill them off in time. But pretty hectic fight, right? It's this fight where like each boss individually doesn't have too many mechanics, but the first 2 bosses have mechanics that persist into the last fight, right? Into the last phase. And so it gets more and more hectic. You kind of have to make this decision of, do we want to kill the first one as fast as possible, or do we want to ignore it a little bit and kill the second one as fast as possible? Where do we want to bloodlust, right? Do we want to bloodlust maybe on 3 minutes as we push the second one to 50%? That was kind of what we decided. But all in all, a pretty cool encounter on Mythic. I think this is going to be one of those encounters that gets a lot of value from being Mythic rather than Heroic, because on Heroic, it's just kill one, kill the second one, kill the third one. There were some persistent mechanics to deal with, but it's gonna be one of those bosses on the lower difficulties that you kind of stomp through without there being too much going on. On Mythic, it did get very hectic towards the end, though, which was pretty cool. The tank damage was also quite a lot, especially if you were ever trying to fight all three at once. The infused strikes were stacking up very quickly, but you really didn't want to clear accidentally, so you wanted to make sure you never accidentally stepped on the other tank, because if you did, you might get 2 stacks of the dot from clearing that. Yeah, a lot of mechanics going on. So cool. Early boss fight. This one is, you could do this 3rd or 4th or 5th, I guess, in the raid. So yeah, pretty cool. Anyways, that is Mythic Forgotten Experiments. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Check out the playlist in the description if you want to go see raid testing, heroic and mythic testing from all of the other bosses. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.